Okay, you're live. You think you're live? You might be live. The excuse me. The I guess I don't know if this was a video I really needed to do. I don't have all of the notes and things in front of me that I might want to access. But I didn't want to just restate things that I've already said in previous videos because I made videos on this topic plenty and feel like they haven't gotten a lot of traction. Unlike some of my boot videos, but that's fine, I guess, because there's other people already sort of tackling the subject, and they've been doing it, for longer, or at least longer on YouTube or whatever. I do have, I guess, well, back to the grind. A not quite covering 3 topics episode, so we'll divide this into parts. I had made like a list. I don't know if it's just going to focus on that, but this was like the list of all the boots to kind of choose from for my next challenge, and then all the other things I have on top of that might be well, I'll get more into that into the springtime. And then, of course, I made kind of a list of, recent purchases and things, but also some video ideas. Like one of the creators does a thing where, vintage fantasy potluck. I think I had mentioned this before. My view would have been more Americana as seen through the lens of each decade, 1910, 1920, 1930, through the 70s. Like I had said, I think dressing a decade a day is funny, but if you really wanted to cover it each decade, you'd have to go that way more for a week. I'm not spending each week for the next month and a half in heritage clothing or attempts at heritage clothing or anything like that. But maybe I'll do some photos kind of inspired by that idea. But I'm also not making my own clothing most of the time or ever. I had started on the Declutter challenge, trying to do the, one thing one day, 2 things the next day, 3 things the next day kind of thing. That just doesn't quite work for me. I mean, I'm keeping the list, just for posterity to remind myself what I did declutter, but filling in like bracket number 4 has been a challenge because I don't know if I can count that one sock as 4 things or that kind of thing. And this is all kind of a mess. But so the goal, I know I'm kind of going about it in a roundabout way, just to tell you, okay, part 2 will be a little bit of rebuttal for a decor video, so hence this is more decor. The autumn haul thumbnail is just a teaser that has little to do with this actual video. Of course, the problem with Black Friday shopping is you get the discounts or, whatever, but then you also get the bills before Christmas, so that can add some extra stress to the holidays. I didn't mean to buy a bunch of stuff kind of in a clump, but sort of happened, and I already addressed this, like I said, in last month's video or whenever it was. So I'll discuss that a bit more kind of further here first. But more than the no buy year, I mean, I don't have any significant purchases planned, but stuff always kind of comes up and then you feel guilty, or you're supposed to feel guilty or whatever. I don't know. I didn't feel that guilty this year when I like fell off my, wagon or whatever. And it happened right around the time when other people say it happens to them too, summer or whatever. But it wasn't like a lot of big purchases until, again, the Black Friday thing, when I bought a couple things that weren't even on sale just to get the size, you know, and test it out and check it out and whatever. And again, running a channel like this, where you feel slightly obligated to have new things, but also, fortunately for me, I have plenty of back stock of things where I'm trying to do the head-to-head challenges already, like the 2 jeans challenge, which I'm not wearing the jeans right now. I'm wearing the corduroy pants because it's kind of corduroy pant weather, but so a little premature with the gray since it's not the new year yet for another 12 something hours or whatever for the calendar year, which I could care less about at all. Except that tomorrow is the anniversary of this challenge, yada yada. But so yeah, I do have you know, some of those challenges where I have the flannel shirt thing still on semi back burner because it's still only December. You know, I haven't been wearing a lot of cozy thick flannel shirts yet, and some of the other workwear that now is out of season and that kind of thing. Oh, and I was going to wear the vest over this shirt again like the other day, and it's for the contrast to the burgundy contrast with the gray, but then I didn't because it's warm enough right now that I don't need it. But to look more collegiate or whatever. But you know, I bought, you know, a couple silly souvenirs and things that, you know, along the way that, you know, I did still add up. I agree, you know, that, you know, I plan to do less of that. But the main focus of this next couple months is, again, my pre-spring cleaning organization and declutter. Like, I need to reorganize all these old notes and things and toss out a bunch of this stuff for starters, or whenever I get to that. And I still have a bunch of catalogs that they sent me that I didn't even ask for, that I haven't even looked through yet. And other people say, well, don't look through them. I do look through them, almost all of them. And I tear out the pages that I like to try and save them for lookbooks, either for art purposes or for like this kind of channel purposes. Even though I don't show a lot of kind of lookbook matching their catalog versions in my community post photos, I kind of take the photos to go along with my mood or my, you know, current weather or whatever. It's like, you know, what did I wear this week? You know, what did I pair it with? And I'm a little bit lazy on that compared to some others trying to show the best capsule wardrobe version of it, because you're not going to have the exact same pieces and the exact same colors anyway. So unless you really, really, really want to look exactly like what I wear, nobody's come out of the woodwork yet insisting that they want to do that. In fact, most of the time it's the opposite. They're arguing with me why I should be wearing this or why denim is better than khaki or whatever. Like, okay. So again, I'm not going to have all those arguments over and over and over again. I mean, like, yeah, I have a lot of bean. This is not a bean shirt. It's not even anywhere near as nice as a bean shirt, but it's getting the nod for now, you know. So I already showed off all the bean shirts when I did the haul video last week, which some people have trickled in and watched a little bit. So anyway, but so yeah, so I'm officially announcing my no-buy year, but I'm not going to hold myself to the fire. But I don't plan to buy any really expensive boots. I doubt that I will get those 2 or 3 pairs rebuilt yet when I have 80 other pairs of boots that I can wear. You know, again, something I wanted to do for this channel earlier on was do some of those recrafts. And I just don't know that it will be worth it cost effective wise. So how practical is it just to do it for the sake of the channel when I'm not getting an endorsement and I'm not working with a cobbler who is dying to, you know, meet my vision goals or whatever. And then, yeah, I was going to do it tomorrow, but earlier this week, I already did my 8 boot in 8 weeks video. So 2 days ago or whatever. So you can watch that if you're interested in how I'm trying to manage the excess of footwear that I already own and get as much use out of them as possible before they might need a rebuild or a resole or whatever, and which ones which ones I'm likely to not bother in the end. And then, of course, the whole list of Thursday boots. I did a recap of Thursday boots recently. Those being the ones that most channels will argue are, just fine for the price, but the boot nerds will say they're, below their standards, subpar leather, subpar construction, whatever. It depends on what you're looking for in a boot. Again, obviously, there's a guy, I mentioned him before. There's a guy who does a similar channel that I could try and explain to him why he should spend twice as much money on a pair of Oak Street or Grant Stone or something, and I think he would just tell me that's stupid and frivolous, and all he needs is Thursday boots to get through a season of winter weather, and that's probably true. Like, no argument here. Like I said, I haven't bothered. I haven't thought of any reasons why he would care or want to spend that extra money. This was something that I was going to put in. Maybe I'll come back to this subject, but going on to part 2. For those of you who are scrolling and wonder if my videos all run endlessly, this one hopefully won't be as long. This was something I debated putting in the community message board, but then how would anybody ever find it? But then again, how many people are going to still be watching this after 10 minutes? Don't know, especially when the camera keeps going all blurry, because I do things like hold up little signs, and now my face looks like I've been kicked by a horse almost. And I'll be taking down most of the Christmas decorations, but we'll talk about decor in part 3. Part 2 is just me reading this thing that I wrote, which is a reaction to Iron Snail's field jacket, which I couldn't fit in the title, but so here's your Easter egg. Why the greatest field jacket ever made is also the cheapest. The cheapest aspect is not that interesting to me, but the most legendary field jacket of all time, the M65, is here to play. Follow your host, him, on a journey through the sands of time as we look at some of the most famous field jackets to ever come out of the old red, white, and blue. We're tracing the M41, the M43, the M51, and the M65. I've only owned the M65. Through the rabbit holes of history and skipping across the ponds of utilitarianism or something along those lines. Hooray. I'm nervous you think I wrote that with AI. Isn't it so weird that that is possible now? In college, we used to have the debate about if AI will come for people's jobs or not. So odd. Anyway, the M65 is not AI, I don't think. It's one of the greatest field jackets that has ever been made. Period. End of discussion. Good day. I said good day, so that was his joke. And I didn't bring in any field jackets for show and tell, because like I said, I'm just going to read off my rebuttal to that. I had a used Army one from high school until about my mid-20s that I got for $8 at the swap meet, but I never had the insulated liner, which was inconvenient because I kept thinking the thing was going to be warmer than it was in January. I used to see guys with some of the Korea version ones, which I assume is the M51, with the furry hood around. I'd see them wearing them sometimes because they could get them cheap at the other surplus store that I didn't know existed until it was about to go out of business. They didn't seem to be really considered any fashion statement then, so much as it said I can't afford anything nicer looking. But again, it's California, so it only gets really coldish for about a month anyway. So some of those grungy guys also wore peacoats, which YouTube considers fashion now too. Question mark. I mean, a lot of guys are, hipsters are discovering these things. They were kind of hipster-ish at the time because a lot of guys had dads in the military in the 60s, but I did not see, like I said, I didn't see most. I had one friend who always wore the peacoat, and I always wore the M65 in the green, like I said. But I had not bought that for any reason other than I needed a jacket. And And I liked military stuff because I figured it was durable for the money. Again, you could get the stuff used from guys who had been in the service and didn't want it anymore because they didn't want to look Army or whatever. They damaged it. Like I said, mine had a big rip above the lower, well, wrong, on the camera, you can't see it, but on the lower, above the lower left pocket. And I can't remember if I ever figured out most of the hidden details stuff that he goes into. It didn't come with a manual or any helpful videos on YouTube or anything in those days. But it went okay with an acrylic radar, O'Reilly style mashed, watch cap or whatever, Jeep cap. I had the Jeep cap, but the brim would always come out the hole in the side. It would make a hole, and so it would end up being a watch cap. But I had it for years. And I had green wool mittens until my friend borrowed the mittens and lost one and gave me a mix match one back that was too big. That I knew he was going to do that crap, and it pissed me off because I didn't want to loan them to him, but he was driving and he said his hands were cold. Please just loan me your mittens. They're too small for you. It doesn't matter. They'll be warm, whatever. I can't hardly find the wool socks in surplus stores anymore either. I tried to get some from Sportsman's Guide, and they kept sending me cotton ones. They said, well, you can always send them back. I was like, well, then I'll just have no socks. So I guess it's better to get 12 pairs for $20, even if they're not the wool ones, than to have no socks. I hardly ever used the hood and almost always needed a sweater. So the field jacket, even in green, looked kind of odd with a preppy under Argyle effect acrylic sweater. So that's what I had to say about field jackets that didn't make it into my other video, because I did do a jacket and a coat. I did 3 videos last year about jackets, coats, and whatever the other thing was. So yeah, if you have any questions about field jackets, I do have one here. I didn't bother, like I said, I didn't bother to bring, but it's a camo one, and so I got it for outdoorsy use, not day wear. Not trying to make it fashion at all, just something I would take hiking if I needed to take something hiking. But again, there would be no way to pack conveniently the insulation liner, so it wouldn't still be warm. It would just be camo. And typically when hiking, again, I don't advise trying to be all camo. Some people like to wear their hunting stuff, hiking to, I don't know, break it in or get used to it or something. And you can do that a couple times, but if you do it too much, your camo just gets all messed up and faded, or you might get holes or wear and tear in places you don't want for when you actually need the stuff. So don't know. So again, if you have any questions about that, you can let me know, but I'm already going to move on to part 3 and try and make this video relatively short for a change. So part 3, we are just moving right along. This is just a reaction to a video I didn't even finish watching yet, where they were redesigning somebody else's living room, and I don't always agree with all their ideas, or sometimes I see something that I think that they missed. So in this one, the first thing they were talking about, this rectangle shelf with square cubbies against a cinder block wall, which is just dorm hell. I had cinder blocks in my dorm, and I know, yeah. What you're talking about, and having that in a living space would be a nightmare, but the furniture is separate to that conversation, and I'm not going to get into the cinder block part of the conversation, just mentioning it. But the IKEA rectangle thing is probably originally for vinyl record albums, instead of just knickknacks. That's why it's designed with those specific size squares. What I have flimsier versions, but I also used to have a really nice sturdy record cabinet from the 60s or 70s, and stupidly sold off at a yard sale for a space issue instead of keeping that one and getting rid of the other ones. I used to have like 2,000 records though, so storing them all became a bit of the chore. And CDs were, supposedly more compact discs, but in many ways kind of were worse overall for storage and style, aesthetics, that kind of thing. Then later you had the CDs that didn't, well, that didn't come in the standard plastic jewel cases. This one's still sealed, so I can open it for effect. Okay, but you had those cardboard triple fold, trifold things and other things that didn't fit in the racks and the things and the things. And of course, I still have cassette tapes, a couple of them here. Whereas these, you could take the tape out and carry it if you were careful without messing up the tape too bad. This one needs to be rewound, but I don't have a tape player anywhere currently. I should just still have some tapes. You can rewind it with a pen. But yeah, if you didn't keep it all in one end, it was easier to, get it snagged and mess it up and have to buy a whole new tape or have a scarf part in the player that might catch and cause problems, which is how I think I burned out the motor of one of my tape decks many long times ago, because it ate my Sting tape and then I got upset. Anyway, but tapes, for some reason, tapes they were never attractive either, but they didn't take up quite the same space as the compact discs in quite the same way. And you didn't have to be so delicate with them. But of course, the sound quality was never as good, and they didn't last as long as they, stretch out and all that kind of thing. Whereas the digital was supposed to fix all of that, but you could scratch a CD so much easier than you thought you could and have to pay even more to replace it. Anyway, yeah, TVs and windows is a thing unless there's no other option, right? They had put a TV where you're facing out the window while watching TV, which is something that kind of drives me insane. But on the opposite side, you get only glare, which is worse. So depends on what walls you're working with. You could still, in this room, they could still put the big couch along the long window, which would make more space for other furniture out in the middle, not have an obstacle in the middle of the floor like she recommended. So I wasn't sure I completely agreed with putting the couch and the TV where they were. Although the TV I probably agreed, the couch I did not, is what I'm saying. Because again, if they had moved the TV from the wall where it was, which was a window, to the other wall, like I said, you would just have glare. So that option was limited with a big window. Room 2 is quiet luxury, the phrase you may be looking for. She was throwing about a lot of words, and I think all those words were kind of adding up to an aesthetic that already sort of technically exists. I don't know about a rug in a kitchen. Don't trip on the edges issue and spills pasta sauce, and then you got an expensive thing. But this was a rug that was definitely intended to be fodder and not a keepsake. So do with that what you will. Because the advice here was, even though you don't want to invest a lot of money into a rental, some money you just got to let it go. And yeah, I can agree with that to a degree. If you want, if you want more color in the room because you think the room is boring and gray, then yes, there are only a few ways to add in color to a room where you're not allowed to paint and not allowed to change the, furnishings apart from the furniture or whatever. Room number 3, this was where I didn't finish. Room number 2, I didn't have that much to say about it because it was a kitchen, and that's not so much my domain. To me, a kitchen is primarily a microwave and a counter. I can cook some things, but I'm definitely not an aspiring chef, so I don't need a lot of these food processing kind of gadgets and that sort of thing. Okay, so room number 3, to skimp the word to skimp, not scrimp. Scrimp means what this episode is supposed to be about, which is saving money. Not necessarily always cutting. Well, some people cut corners and then regret it later, which is, of course, the whole point of the buy once, cry, blah, 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 and all that. Again, I'm not going to go into all the things that we've covered in other videos, plenty. If you go to my cost per wear playlist, they're all in there, or some other playlists. include some of these videos also. But so then this one, they wanted to move a lot of plants by the window, and I thought it was funny because there's already plenty of green outside the windows because there's plants that you can see. I predicted the rug. Again, a rug being the solution for a big gray space here. That, I mean, after telling them to put a rug in a kitchen, I guess predicting the rug here was not exactly a, you know, Nostradamus level prediction or whatever. I actually didn't notice the long black strip before the other blinds in the window thing. That was the thing that they had done in the photo that drew my eye to it, that wouldn't automatically draw your eye to it in the room at large. It was in that particular photo. White coffee table rectangle with storage shelf suits me just fine. Coastal cottage time. Again, I'd like to have a room that is more, this furniture's old and crappy and disgusting, but a room that was, or maybe half of a house or something that was that aesthetic, but I haven't really been able to pull that off. I've gotten a lot of furniture, including recently posted a new desk for free because, you know, sometimes people give it to you and sometimes you see it by the curb and it's not in horrible condition for some reason. And I'm not above getting a neighbor to do me a favor and drive me a thing home and saving me some drop zone space somewhere else. Then she was talking about putting up artwork. So anyway, so as I've discussed in other videos, the furniture in here is a total mishmash of stuff that didn't fit in the other rooms with the stuff that it was supposed to go with, because I had to reorganize this room to do videos and that kind of thing. Hanging art on the wall, my art choice would be, instead of, you know, curtains or replacing the coffee table. Oh, the point of the thing was to only make 3 purchases or less for people who are stingy. In some cases, I think they should purchase more, even though this is the no-buy year, if you're really going to redo a room. But you're saying a lot of people are resistant to that. When they say they want to do it, then they get sticker shock. And yeah, I agree. That's also a thing. Which just, again, buy once, cry later. But if you're in a rental where you don't know what your current or your future rather, or more permanent thing might be that from your current situation, then it gets hard to part with furniture that you spend a lot of money for, that you know you have to let go in a yard sale or something because you can't move it. Or I've had things, like I said, that ended up in the garage because disassembling them and trying to figure out how to get them back together wasn't going to work, and the space was limited in the room anyway. So if you put in that thing, you wouldn't be able to fit hardly anything else and that sort of stuff. Then they went on to rearrange the other room. Nothing about colorful sofa pillow cushions, though, which I thought was kind of odd. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to watch the rest of that because I didn't know what exactly it was going to go to for 10 minutes that I might disagree with entirely, because that's my nature, just to disagree with stuff and be contrarian and opinionated and blah, blah, blah. Oh, and oops, jingle. It doesn't matter if I knock this over because, like I said, it's almost time to take down all this stuff anyway. So yeah, like I said, just kind of 30 minutes still, but not a long video, or not long on any particular topic. And I don't have, like I said, I need to get back to this more than anything, even though it's not even January yet, so it's not the main focus of this weekend or anything. I finally organized my sweaters for the month. I organized my hats. Again, I putting away the brown stuff and getting out the gray stuff that I intend to wear a little bit more to match more. Not necessarily this shirt, because this shirt goes more with joking, of course. one of my souvenirs, as I said. I also do have some camo ones that I probably won't wear. This one, maybe. This is, I had a couple of these from the old days. This one I got the embroidered thing on it because I thought it would look better than it does. It kind of gets hidden in the details. So, haven't gotten around to wearing that. It's not like I'm totally out of ideas for the channel or anything, you know, that I just want to talk about the same stuff over and over and over, like some of these people. That's not the case. I'm just trying to cover the bases, you know, before we start fresh with the new year. But again, I can't do a new boot video every single week because I don't intend to buy new boots every single week, and how much wear and tear do the boots that I have already show in a week? Not that much. And I can't do, you know, a head-to-head video every week because it takes a while for jeans to show wear or shirts to show wear even, you know. So quarterly, maybe. We'll see how it goes. The idea that, you know, I'm going to make any monetization or whatever is obviously, you know, become an absurd joke. 3 years of the channel with less than 200 subscribers. We'll see how many jump onto this, and if I'm killing my boot video in the algorithm already because I posted that one 3 days too soon before my Friday viewers come or whatever anyway, and this one will blah 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 and blah blah blah, but I don't care. It's only Wednesday, and so if I want to make another video on Friday, maybe I will, but don't hold your breath. And so with that, I'll say the obligatory Happy New Year for those of you who worry about such things, that, you know, you feel like it's bad luck or something to not throw it out there, even though literally it just means that I have to figure out how to reuse that calendar because I don't have a new one. And I never hardly ever buy calendars in years, but I always get free ones in the mail, and I haven't gotten any free ones lately that I know of. But I've been reusing the one in the other room since 2020, and that one's a new one from this year that I can reuse, no problem. And of course, there's also a calendar here on the computer, but I find it really hard to scroll it and count things. It always wants to fight with me and not land where I want it to land. So I do still like to have a physical calendar, even though it's not minimalist and it's clutter and like, it's a calendar. Shut up. I like the paintings anyway. In fact, since I have to take it down anyway,
Dave, birdies, nice birdies.
And last month was more of a summer picture. I thought that one was slightly not quite autumny enough. But then here we had Pumpkin Heaven in October. Is this, you know, more autumn or August rather than September? Don't know. You can fight over that if you live in that, but more sunflowers. See, so gives me something to look at. I don't consider it clutter. I consider it art, even though it's not, you know, framed art or a painting or anything. I think the June one would have been better for April or May. Excuse me. But the May one was. Yeah, so that's somebody else's paintings rendered in a a nice printed format that I'll get to look at most of these again in the coming year, because whatever month coincides with. See, January started on Wednesday, so I can't use that month. And sometimes it's the end of the month. Oh, but see, May. I get to see May again tomorrow because May begins with Thursday the 1st and has 31 days. So perfect. Thank you, May. And that means June I'll get to use again in February. And then after February into March, I'll have to figure out another month. So I get to use May and June for the next 2 months, starting tomorrow. And that's how I'll be saving $12 or whatever calendars cost now if you buy something that isn't extravagant. Anyway, like I said, okay, so nobody bothered to jump in on the chat, but I didn't announce that I was doing a chat because I wasn't really planning on doing a chat, but I thought I'd leave the chat live just in case somebody jumped on. Nobody did. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. And like I said, maybe Friday I'll do another video anyway and see how I feel.